Andrew Hoy, the CEO and owner of the Affinity Aviation Group, regularly berths in Gosport and sells his boats out of the Solent. Affinity Aviation buy and sell private jets and provide VIP charters around the world. In his spare time, Andrew works as a commercial pilot for a family in London. His interest in aircraft began with his childhood dream, but training's not cheap, so how did he manage it?
I was in the CCF at school, the Air Force Cadets, and I ended up going through a flying scholarship with the Air Force, so they kind of paid for some of my flying. The rest of it I borrowed from Lloyd's. It's very simple, and I paid it all back, and I got some from my father, some from my grandfather, and it is an expensive business, and you have to be 100% committed to doing it, and you have to have your medical in place before you start doing it. But I was 100% committed, and therefore every day I could spend money, and I knew what I wanted to be. I knew what I wanted to do.
Andrew had been flying commercially for several years and was a captain working out of Biggin Hill in Kent until February the 5th, 12 years ago, when he went to see the doctor.
Through a week of being extremely thirsty and not sleeping very well and drinking lots and lots of water back in 2003, I did some flights and I went back to the doctors and I said, look, I've got this, this and this. And he said, well, I think you're diabetic. And I said, well, I can't be, obviously, because I lose my job and that would be terrible. So we did some tests that afternoon and he said, yeah, that's it. And I remember saying to him, look, I'm off to Malaga tomorrow, because I was flying a Learjet at the time for a company in London. I'm off to Malaga tomorrow, I'll sort it out when I get back. And he said, no, that's it, you're done. So I had to go and get some specialist treatment straight away. And so it was quite a hard pill to swallow.
Andrew's wife Brenda recalls the night Andrew was instantly grounded from commercial aircraft with class 1 diabetes, where the pancreas doesn't produce any insulin.
At vulnerable times, obviously we had a young baby and I'd given up my job. So we were relying on his work, and it came as a shock, because you always want to lean on your partner, and he was very, very brave, and the first thing I wanted to do was be the one that could take it from him. I wanted to be the diabetic because I didn't have so much to lose. You might as well have chopped his legs off, it meant that much to him. So yes, I just wanted to take it from him and I couldn't. So Plan B was needed.
After a couple of days I thought, well, if I don't help myself, no one's going to help me, so I stopped being sad and grumpy.
He was incredibly brave, and just I was the one that just kept crying. Pathetic.
I found a job that kept me in aviation, and that's what led me to Affinity, effectively, in buying and selling aeroplanes.
The company I was working for offered him a commercial manager. It had to be aviation. Straight away he knew, don't dwell on this. And so many of his friends, pilot friends, were, I don't know what I'd do if this happened to me. No, he stayed focused and, right, okay, this has happened. We have to just move on.
That's what led me to having some money to fly Spitfires and toys like that. And then that's essentially what led me back to the CAA to say, look, help me go back flying again. I think it's possible.
The CAA, the Civil Aviation Authority, regulates the aviation industry, which has different criteria for different aircraft type and whether carrying commercial passengers. Andrew approached them about being able to fly heavier aircraft and commercially.
They said no, but what we're doing is thinking of putting a group together of a bunch of guys who can try and get diabetes into the flight deck. So professional flyers from before who are type 1 diabetic to come back into the flight deck. And I joined that group, and that was about 3 years ago now. And I got my medical back about a year and a half ago.
It was a battle to get to this level again, because it was over 10 years. It was almost like starting a new career. So focused to get there, all the exams again. And it is like teaching an old dog new tricks. It really is, because the exams are harder even though you've done them before.
What I really wanted to get to was a Class 1 medical, which allows me to fly passengers for hire and reward, or fly commercially, essentially, which is what I do now on the Global Express in London.
And I couldn't understand why you wanted to do it. But if you've got a passion to do something and you're that focused, you get on and do it. I wish I had the same thing, but I just stand back and think, how can you do all this again? But next time he stops flying, he wants the choice to stop. He doesn't want to be told he's stopping. And that's what he was trying to achieve. He wanted to be in control of deciding his career, not have it taken away like last time.
I wanted to be that person that said that it's possible to do everything with diabetes. You either manage it or it manages you. My point of view is that as a professional pilot, you can manage it like a fuel load on the aeroplane. So you manage your own fuel load like it. And yes, I was instrumental in doing that. I'm the only business jet guy, as far as I know at the moment, that's flying with a Class 1 medical with type 1 diabetes. And I inject about 5 times a day, and it's no bother at all. I have a specific regime with the CA that I have to go through in how I record my sugar levels during flight, before flight, during flight, and after flight. And I do that, and then every 6 months I go back to the CA with my logbook and all my sugar readings, and everything's groovy.
Not only running Affinity Aviation, in his spare time, Andrew has been flying for over a year as a commercial captain on the ultra-long-range Bombardier Global Express XRS. And he's a trustee of the Flying Scholarships for Disabled People charity that provides scholarships to those people who, through their disability, don't believe they can achieve solo flight, trying to make the disabled able in flight and equal in the air. Andrew's philosophy is that life is made of hurdles of mire. Sometimes you jump them, sometimes they hit you smack in the face. I think the key is how fast you get up. And I'm hoping that I proved that back in 2003, 2 days of saying you can't fly anymore. Get up, get on with life, do something else. Diabetes isn't going to keep you down, and crack on. Inspirational. This is Shan Robins for Solent News Now.